Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
It is mandatory to change the oil on absolutely every car. From this procedure depends on how qualitatively and long the engine will work. If we talk about the first oil change, which follows after running in of the engine, it is given even more importance. Why you need to run in the engine? It is necessary to run in a new engine. This period is very important, as only it can determine how the car will be further exploited and whether the engine will be able to work up to 150 to 250,000 kilometers without the need for major repairs. The initial period of work of the power unit is characterized by the following processes occurring in it. The elements belonging to the cylinder piston group rub together intensively, smoothing of various roughnesses on the valve train, washing out particles of scale, casting flakes, not removed from the engine of the car during its production, running in of bearings, oil seals, turbine, gears, and timing chain. Engine running in used to be a mandatory process, but now it is not. What this is due to is still unclear, but there is speculation that metals are now being processed using newer technologies and robot workers are being used in assembly. However, it is not unlikely that this is due to a marketing policy. Its essence is to limit the life of a certain product, thereby forcing consumers to buy a new one as soon as possible after the end of its warranty period. There is some evidence to support this theory. For example, the manufacturer underestimated the runtime of engines before overhaul or replacement. Usually this figure was less than 100,000 kilometers. Every driver knows that running in should be done when buying a new car or after a major overhaul of the engine. Everyone also knows that it should be done correctly. Important: if the power unit is properly run in, its service life will be increased by 15 to 20%. In addition, such indicators as injectivity and fuel economy will be significantly higher. There are several methods of running in, but the most popular are two. Cold. An electric motor is attached to the engine, rotating it without the need to start it. Hot. Running in occurs directly when the engine is running. Rules of running in of the car engine and the first oil change after running in. In order to properly run in the car engine, it is worth adhering to some tips. Conduct refueling of the car only with quality raw materials. Do not allow the engine to idle for a long time. Keep an eye on the oil level in the engine crankcase. Adhere to a speed of up to 90 km/h during the first 1,000 kilometers. Also try not to drive in tension. Do not use the highest gears too often. Watch the number of revolutions per minute. They should be no more than 3,000 for gasoline engines and no more than 5,000 for diesel engines. Do not drive aggressively and do not drive with a trailer. The first time to change the oil after running in is after the engine has covered 1.5 to 2.5 thousand kilometers for engines running on gasoline and 3 to 5,000 kilometers for those running on diesel. Important: special attention should be paid to running in the first 3,000 kilometers of mileage. At this time, it is necessary to select a more optimal mode of operation for the engine. That is, do not subject it to high loads, and operate it in a more gentle mode. This applies especially to the first 1,000 kilometers. Changing the oil after an engine overhaul. Carrying out an engine overhaul means tougher oil change conditions than after the running-in process. This is quite explainable. The conditions in which repair work will be carried out are much worse than those in which the first assembly of the car was carried out. For this purpose, completely different parts with fewer characteristics and resources will be used. Read also how to adjust the idle speed on the injector and carburetor. In the past, you may have come across this opinion. Car manufacturers make a selection of parts that meet all the requirements. Those that passed the selection were sent to assembly shops. Those that had even the slightest defect were sold or sent to service stations. If the engine is running in after repair work, the oil and oil filter should be changed after every 500 kilometers. Any oil is suitable for replacement, even those whose brand is not so popular. Most of all, it is worth paying attention to the timely removal of the smallest pieces of metals present on the pallet. The reason: They are very quickly formed when the running-in process takes place. Rules for changing the oil after adjusting the valve clearances of the replacement valves. Carrying out such work does not entail the formation of the same number of small metal particles as in the case of repair work. For this reason, valve adjustment should be performed about 1 to 2,000 kilometers before the oil and oil filter are scheduled to be changed. This is the most optimal option. As for the replacement of piston rings, it should be done before changing the oil and oil filter, about 1.5 to 2,000 kilometers of mileage. The color of the oil in the engine after replacement. In the beginning, the oil is transparent. It begins to acquire a dark shade when the engine has worked about 500 kilometers of mileage. This is inherent in diesel engines. Important: new power units do not yet have any oil deposits. For this reason, there is practically nothing for the oil to clean off. From this, we can conclude that the raw materials in new engines start to darken much later than in old engines. This is especially noticeable on those engines that have worked for more than 100,000 kilometers. In the process of running in, it is very important to determine how often the oil will be replaced. If all this is done correctly, following all the rules, the use of the most expensive oil becomes completely optional. Most of them are designed for mileage intervals of 15 to 20,000 kilometers between changes. Such representatives have a high cost, which is due to the available additives in their composition. Read also the correct connection of daytime running lights of the car if the intervals between oil and oil filter changes are short. Then the additives will work off only part of their resources, which is extremely uneconomical and unpleasant for the driver. Therefore, during the run-in period, it is worth buying not too expensive oil, which will meet all the norms and fit a certain car. It is worth noting once again that getting rid of small particles in the engine crankcase is a mandatory and very important condition. How did you run in the engine? Did you have any questions about how to do it properly? What oil do you use for your vehicle? Tell us about your experience in the comments. Share the article so that as many people as possible will learn something new for themselves. In conclusion, the decision to change the oil after running in or an engine overhaul is crucial for maintaining optimal engine performance and longevity. While some may argue that it is unnecessary, the benefits of removing metal particles and contaminants from the initial break-in period cannot be overstated. Regular oil changes help ensure that your engine runs smoothly and efficiently, ultimately saving you time and money in the long run. By prioritizing this simple yet effective maintenance step, you can protect your investment and enjoy a reliable driving experience for years to come. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more insightful automotive tips.